Hey guys, welcome to Australian Skies, Your Story. This episode has a bit of a Min Min light theme to it. The first story comes from Narissa, and she writes, "We have these strange lights here in Canada too. I know a young girl who was being chased by one. She was an elder by the time I heard the story. They were told to stay away from these lights if they showed up and to get inside. However, they were teasing it and playing with the light, and then they got a bad feeling and started to run home. It went through her as she ran. Nothing happened that night, but she has been plagued with illness, of which has put her in a wheelchair. She became a writer and a respected elder. There were times when she could only write by holding a stick in her mouth to type at the keyboard, and most of her stories were turned into plays for the local theatre group. I don't know if she was born with a sickness or if the light brought the sickness to her, as she believes, but the experience of it all has made her strong in character and strengthened her spiritual beliefs." Thanks, Narissa. Hello to all our Canadian friends as well. And what do you guys call your version of the Min Min light? Now, as far as these lights being a negative energy, look, I suppose it depends on what you choose to believe. It could just be a coincidence with this lady's illness and her experience with one of these strange lights. On the other hand, the Indigenous folk from here in Australia have strong opinions about chasing after Min Min lights, as Jaden explained in her post to us. Jaden writes, "These lights have different definitions for all the traditional clans in our country. I'm from the New England area of New South Wales. My family have been telling us kids not to follow these lights, as they are spirits that have lost their way or have died a tragic way. There is one that resides on a cliff over the beach and lures unsuspecting people over the edge. There are also ones that mean no harm, but it's still wise not to follow the lights in case harm may be only a few steps away. They've been around here since the beginning of our culture, and there are many Dreamtime stories that are shared today about the origins of the lights." Also, Liana adds another interesting perspective to this mystery. She writes, "I don't mean to frighten, but my nan would say they were mothers looking for their sons and to just get straight home when the boys would come across them." That's really interesting. We've heard of that explanation before, that the Min Min lights are the Indigenous spirits of past mothers who are out searching for their lost children. And parents would warn their children to go to bed before the Min Min lights came and stole them away. Now, having said that though, as said before, there are many Indigenous clans in Australia. Not all share the same view. Some believe that the Min Min light are the spirits of their ancestors coming to visit them. And there are even tales of Min Min lights guiding lost people in the bush back to safety. Now, Hayley has an interesting story for us, and she writes, "I live in Barnsdale, Victoria, and an Aboriginal friend's father told us about the Min Min lights and shared with us a local bush track location that had been known to produce these spook lights. So a carload of us went to the track in Melwood, Victoria, and did what we were told to do, which was to sit quietly and patiently, and that they would show themselves. And my God, that's what they did. Firstly, I thought we were seeing stars through the trees, but they got closer and brighter and bigger, and one was yellow and one was blue. And then one popped up right behind us, only meters away, so bright and orange in colour. It just hovered there and flickered occasionally. Eventually, a friend built up enough courage to approach it, and lastly it flickered super bright, then vanished. And this was so crazy." Wow, that's I love that one. That is a freaky story. I mean, the difficulty is trying to determine if these objects are what we would classically call a UFO, as it seems on the surface that the only real difference between a UFO and a Min Min light is the time of day it's sighted and the altitude. I mean, it's also important to note that these strange Min Min lights or spook lights or Marf lights, whatever you want to call them, they're not just localised to Australia. They've been sighted all around the world. We've got a message here from Rhonda. She writes that I've seen a formation of 3 very high in the sky in the early 90s in Union City, Michigan, M60 East. And Holly wrote, never been able to get closer than 50 feet. We've been observing and photographing the glowing orbs over Santa Fe, New Mexico, USA for 2 years now. And when they're overhead with no reference for scale, it's hard to tell how close or how big they are. Okay, thanks, Holly. Look, either way you look at it, stories of these lights have been inspiring and terrifying humans for a long time, and I suspect they will continue to do so for a long time still to come. Thanks for watching, and thank you to everyone who's contributed their stories. And if you'd like to share a story with us, you can email us at ozskies247@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time.